You know, nobody warned me that my healing process would be deeply disappointing to some really loving, well-meaning people in my life. Let me give you some backstory. So last fall, I found Dr. Brooke Goldner's autoimmune protocol diet. So Dr. G accidentally sent her lupus into remission about 20 years ago by going on a raw vegan diet. And she's written books about it. So I read the books and tried to do her protocol myself. It was not happening. So I decided to sign up for her 6-week rapid recovery program. First thing I found out when I joined the program is that the version of the protocol that's in the coaching program is even more restrictive than what's in the books. There are very high quotas for the amount of raw cruciferous vegetables you're supposed to get in every day, the amount of water you're supposed to get in every day, and there's some other fruits and vegetables that are allowed, but the raw cruciferous vegetables take priority. And then there are a lot of foods that are objectively healthy that are not allowed on the protocol, like nuts, seeds, legumes. And my understanding is that the reason for this is, they've tested this protocol with thousands of people over several years, and they've just found that there are certain things that slow down the healing process. So I found that getting myself to eat the food on the protocol was extremely difficult. I was like, I don't want this kale smoothie. It doesn't taste good. I can't add no sweeteners to it, so I don't like it. So the first week of the protocol was me and Dr. G and her husband in the app talking back and forth. And I was just like, I can't. I do not have the bandwidth for this right now. And then came the detox symptoms. The rashes, the gastrointestinal distress, the weird inflammatory symptoms that I hadn't seen in years just coming back. This whole healing process was physically painful. However, within 3 days of me actually locking in and fully giving up the cooked foods, my GI symptoms, a proctitis flare-up that had been ongoing for over 2 years, stopped dead in its tracks. I went back to my GI doctor and I was like, you can take me off the prednisone now because I don't need it. Like, this diet has changed everything. Another change that I noticed was before the diet, I would wake up in the middle of the night with neuropathy in my hands, like my hands were numb. And while I was on the protocol, that stopped. At the end of the 6 weeks, when I went to go do some more lab work, my Sjogren's numbers went down. They started off at 2.9, they went all the way down to 1.9. When you get to 1.0, it's negative. So I was halfway to negative after really 4 weeks of fully being on the protocol. So although eating in this way was extremely hard, it was absolutely worth it. But here was what I was not prepared for. I was getting weekly calls from someone who was concerned, deeply concerned about my health. The second week of the protocol, I had a really bad bout of vertigo and I ended up in the hospital for a few days while they were running tests and making sure that I wasn't having a stroke. And this person was calling me talking about, I think it's the diet that you're on. And I'm like, no, the raw broccoli did not put me in the hospital. And ironically, the food that I was eating in the hospital was significantly worse than what I would have been eating at home. So I'm looking at these doctors like, get me out of here so I can go make my salad. And although this person felt like they were coming from a place of love, being on the receiving end of it, it just felt like pressure to stop. And then there are the lighter comments like, oh, you must be hungry, or, oh, you're eating like a bird now, which are made in jest, but they land in a very uncomfortable place because they remind me that what I'm doing is different and weird. And just like everyone else, I have this primal desire to belong, and comments like that make me feel othered. Don't particularly enjoy that very much. And what I realized after continuously trying to explain myself to people who were not really trying to understand is that the concerns weren't really about the food. There were other things at play. There are some people for whom food is a love language. They express their love by cooking or by taking people out to eat. And when they're no longer able to connect with people over food, it is very disappointing for them. And when people don't have tools to process their disappointment, it comes out in very indirect, strange ways. The other thing that I've noticed is that when I choose to eat in this restrictive way, sometimes people will interpret that as if I am judging their food choices as unhealthy. And that is not the case. If I decide that I am not eating meat right now because this protocol doesn't allow it, I'm not telling you that your meat is unhealthy. In fact, I would love to be eating a grass-fed organic steak right now. I just can't. Ultimately, I don't care what people eat. That's between them and their body. The biggest challenge in this whole protocol diet thing has been learning to sit with being the weirdo and being okay with that. There were so many times when I just wanted to forego the whole thing just to avoid having these stupid conversations over and over again. However, I've realized that the essence of self-love for me right now is so much more than bubble baths and buying myself flowers. It is literally learning how to put myself and my health and my needs first over and above other people's comfort. And then December happened, and I fell into what I now call counterfeit self-love. Instead of gradually stepping down off the protocol like I was told to do, I decided that I just needed to treat myself for my birthday. The following week, I decided to just treat myself at Christmas dinner and eat what everyone else was eating. And in a beautiful turn of events, the person who had given me the most crap about this diet brought me some raw cabbage to eat with my dinner. But by then I was over it, so I had a little bit of raw cabbage and a whole lot of curry lamb. And then the next day I got on a plane and went to Europe for vacation, and I treated myself to the standard tourist diet, which means that I had a lot more French fries than I cared to admit. So in the whole month of December into early January, I essentially treated myself to my symptoms coming back and treated myself to having to start this whole process all over again. So now I'm starting again, easing my way back into the protocol, posting on social media for accountability. And this time I understand that this is really more like a 6-month commitment instead of just a 6-week commitment of eating at this level of restriction. So I'm not planning any vacations anytime soon, and I am building my lifestyle around this protocol. But for those of you who have someone in your life who is going through something like this, who has to change their diet or make huge lifestyle changes, the most helpful thing you can do is say, I see that what you're doing is hard and I'm so proud of you. All the other little smart comments, they're not particularly helpful, they're not particularly funny, and they make something that's already very difficult feel that much harder. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share about this whole diet thing. If you have any questions about Dr. Brooke Goldner's protocol because you or someone you know is struggling with autoimmune illness, do not inbox me. I'm not a health coach. I have nothing to offer. What I will do is send you to Dr. Brooke Goldner herself. She's on YouTube, she's got books on Amazon. One book is called Goodbye Lupus. I think the other is Goodbye Autoimmune Disease. Yeah, go find her. She is happy to help you. That is what she does for a living. I am a music teacher. Y'all have a beautiful day. I will talk to you soon. Bye.